What's up, guys, and welcome to The Reload. My name is Cody Luongo. Thank you for joining us. And again, we're going live today from the UGC studios. Today, we're talking obviously about the FACEIT London Major. We're now in the playoff stages of the event. There's been plenty of action, and there's still more to come. Plenty of drama. Such a stellar event so far, and we're happy to be here and have you guys here to indulge in the action with us. But without further ado, let's go ahead and bring in our guest today. First up to bat, he's an ex-American Counter-Strike professional player. He's been in the game for a long time. He's the ex-coach of CLG Red. He's getting hype in the preview out. Let's bring him in. It's Erik Stromberg. What is going on, baby?
Oh, that feels so good. You kind of pumped me up for that much. I get a little excited. How's it going, dog?
Dude, I'm all good, baby. We're talking about the major. It's the playoffs, man.
Oh, I'm getting the jitters from just thinking about it.
Dude, I
A
got the
lot of good
tingles.
matches, a lot of crazy upsets, a lot of
Oh my gosh.
unexpected games. Whew, I mean, what can't you not love about the major? Come on,
It's it's a
bring it.
beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing, isn't it?
It brings a tear to my eye.
I
This is
just
what CS all about.
I
I just
think I
like the
just
just the
just
tears of the enemy. Tease the
oh,
point they're losing.
oh my
It's
God,
okay.
I just can't.
Just
It's just
drink
so
it in.
battable.
Just drink it in. Drink it in.
All right. Well, we are not only joined by the wonderful Bears, but we also have our another guest with us today. He was on the show last week. He's the former in-game leader and coach of Team Endpoint. Let's bring him in, Jonathan Sheekey, dialing in from the UK. What's up, buddy?
Alan, you're right. I'm good. I'm
I'm
good.
A1, man. Stoked about the show. Stoked about you guys being here. I'm just ready
hmm
to just jump right into it, man. So it's been a great showing so far. The Legends stage just wrapped up a couple days ago, like I said, and we're moving right on into the playoff stages of the event. And I think that we should go ahead and just talk about maybe a bit of the Legends stage. And if we can bring up this graphic right here, we have the results as it finished.
Bring
You
up the
see?
graphics.
Let's see it, man. Here we
Bring up the
are
graphics,
in
man.
your
I like that.
face. Not wasting any time. You see on the left side the qualified teams, and obviously on
Who
the
expected
right.
complexity 3-0? Who expected that? I don't think anyone
Nobody in the
in this
world.
entire world, other than complexity, other than Jason Lake, who probably thought, it'd be nice if we made it, but they went 3-0, just turning heads, making a name for themselves again in this day and age. I love it. I love it. I love it. Three NA teams in the thing. Yes, I put MIBR as NA because they play in the NA league. I'm excited. Good things to come.
This is killer. This is killer. What are you thinking, Shiki?
It's good. I expected Liquid to be 3-0, but I didn't expect Complexity to go 3-0, but it's good.
Expect
It's going to
Liquid to
be
be
a good.
3-0? That's pretty bold. That's pretty bold too.
Yeah, I don't think anyone expected complexity. Obviously, MIBR just clinched their way in against NIP. Um, so that was, I mean, to think that MIBR was going to be battling for the last spot in the event or in the playoffs was kind of crazy to me. I thought that they were coming out really strong. They looked a little bit shaky in the beginning, but they're able to pull it together clearly.
Yeah, I think with the addition of Yanko starting to show that they're becoming a more patient team. Well, they've always been patient, but there's a period to where when Tarek just joined, it looked a little panicky, not as tight knit as they are right now. And you saw in the Legend stage that they're just on all cylinders. They're playing patient. They're working together, and just the teamwork as well is really impressed me. It looked like the old SK kind of, uh, the old SK days when they were just kind of, starting off hot. I like that.
Right. I think Yanko has been a pivotal point in MIBR sort of finding that proper configuration. And I remember Fallen talking in an interview, I think it was in the Legend stage, saying how SK had been together and had that they formed like a friendship within the team. And Fallen was explaining that that made it difficult for them to kind of point out the rest of the team when things were going wrong, and Yanko came in and sort of instilled the discipline in them, to slap their hand when they make a bad play and say, no, you can't do that. You know what I mean? So that seems to me to be a very, very pivotal point in that team.
Yeah, I also think with him, it takes a lot of the load off of Holland himself of making the whole game plan. Because I mean, their previous coach dead, a lot of respect towards him, but I don't think he was more of a traditional coach and more of like a team manager role style. At least that's what I've, as an outsider perspective, that's what it looked like. I don't know as much as he did inside the game or inside the team house, but I can see how Yanko would take more of a role of a, analyst and coach over Fallen. He'd watch a lot of replays. He's a professional analyst right before he took the coaching job. So I think this will allow Fallen to be able to, not think so much, play more of Counter-Strike, let his op come back because he had a couple games where he was opping, and it as an in-game leader, it's way easier to be able to focus on your game when you don't have to think of every single piece of the puzzle, think of the game plan, think, okay, if we go up this many rounds, we got to do this strat. And so I think it's improving MIBR so far with just Yanko being there.
Yeah, definitely. I'm with that. I think, yeah, to me, they just looked a little shaky in the beginning. I mean, they lost to Ty Lue, and Ty Lue is a good team, obviously. But then after getting pummeled by Astralis 16-0, it was on Dust 2. It was just like you said, Sheekey, that was painful to watch.
Yeah. It's not painful, but you feel embarrassed for the players for getting 16-0'd. We've all been there and we've all lost 16-0. I mean, I've lost on HLTV 16-0, so I know what it's like, but I wasn't at that stage in a career where there's 250,000 people watching and you just get 16-0'd. Like Stewie said, I think he said you've got to laugh it off, which you do, but you've also got to look at it in a way of like, well, it simply wasn't good enough. So
what happened?
Yeah,
what happened that game? I don't get it. How did they how did they manage a 16-0 scoreline?
Beats me.
I mean, has an SK or not SK, MIBR now. I'm still getting used to that.
Right.
They just have one of those games where, every once in a while they just forget to show up. Your timing's off. You're not working together. You're not exchanging kills properly. Everything that you do just times wrong, and that's really. It's almost like you have to play more of a perfect game, obviously, to lose that 16-0, that just nothing goes your way. And, it doesn't matter how good you are in the game, there's always a luck factor in a game like CSGO, and luck wasn't even on their side either. So just everything was just against them. And plus Device, hitting the shots, getting those AWPs. It's in the Astralis, once you get them going, it's hard to stop them. It's hard to slow them down.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point. And I think that I was reading some stuff on HLTV and about the loss against Astralis, and they had mentioned that after going down 9-0 and the timings were just so off and everything, just to echo what you say, it was just they sort of had given up at that point. They had mentioned that, in their heads it was almost like it was over at that point. But they did manage to beat NIP 2-1 in round 5 and advance to the playoff stage. We've got a bit of sound here from Stewie and Fawn. Let's go ahead and roll that real fast.
We've been working pretty hard for the past 2 weeks, and to accomplish something so soon for us, it feels really good for us.
Around 30 or 35 days as Yanko joined the team, and we have been working 8 to 10 hours daily basis, almost non-stoppable, and to lose on this one will cost us a lot.
So, I was watching this map, and I picked this round specifically in terms of just showing the maturity of MIBR. As you see, it's Stewie right here. Now, what makes this move so awesome by Stewie, he only gets 2 kills, but he was very patient in his decision making. He knows that 2 people are in the bomb site. They're in the area, so he's just waiting for his teammates, playing just super, super patient. And I think the older Stewie 2K, he might have peaked a lot earlier, try to get an early kill and then fall back. But in that situation, he kind of fell back and waited for about 10, 15 seconds, and then he peaked and got information. And so there's like those little small nuances where smart plays like that where you hand your team a chance to fall back and retake the bomb site. Because if Stewie died right there, NIP would have definitely won the round and possibly run that map on cash, because that match went to the OT with MIBR barely winning. So just like little things like that just adds up in a huge thing in a match like the Major. And I just like how Yanko's bringing this discipline, as Holland said, or how it's been shown to be.
Right. I think so. You're saying that Stewie is more maturing as a player as a whole, rather than.
Yeah.
And I would say I would agree with that, saying that he's maturing as a player, and that's. I feel like that patience that you just saw right there in that clip is fitting right in with the team, because, like you said, he's staying alive and he's buying time for his teammates to rotate into that bomb site. He goes down in the end, but no, go on.
I think when Stewie first joined the team, you're a young guy, you're joining one of the best teams in the world. You got a lot of pressure on you to become, better than Taco. He was there to replace Taco. I put it in air quotes because at first it kind of just put him in that spot to, be a better version of Taco, but it wasn't Stewie's play style a little bit. You have to have your mix into it. And so I think now Stewie's getting more comfortable. He's finding his own timings to where he kind of play sort of Taco roles, but add his little twist to it. And I think it's really coming together, and it's really helping the team out and helping MIBR just get these wins.
Yeah, I think he's losing his pug play style, so to say. Is obviously when he was in America and where he came from, he's just a pug player. And even in C9, you could see it was just a complete, like, yes, they were a team, but they played such a puggy way. It was beneficial to teams who didn't like to play against it. But I don't think he'll be allowed to do it in MIBR, neither will Tarek. It's the same scenario, I think. So that's why it's helping him, is they're learning how to use their individual skill at a time that suits the team instead of a time that just suits them wanting to get free kills and be the hero, so to say.
Yeah, it's pretty good for him to be able to mix it up, because he could always bring out that poke style of play, as you say. That's what got him to the top, is being that aggressive, finding information for the team. I peaked this, or maybe I get 2 kills and fall back. Who knows? But it's always important to be able to mix it up to where, sometimes you can't just poke every single round. You got to play pass. You got to play that number game and play an informative game. So it's really showing.
Definitely. Yeah. I agree with that, saying that MIBR is starting to play their game, right? And you can see that they're taking control of the maps and they're playing at their pace. They're making the team play their game, whereas as before, it was looking like MIBR was trying to just match their opponents, right? They were trying to almost combat them rather than play their style of play. And this is a team that, was recently formed, so they're still trying to come into themselves. And it seems like right here at the Major is the first glimpse of that. Moving forward, I definitely want to mention Complexity, but I definitely want to plug the chat first, because we're live again for the second time. I got Ciralis says, nice ink. Thank you. I appreciate that. And also someone else's nice shirt, by the way. Okay, I love this shirt. Got it at a thrift store for $1. But I have
tattooed
seen him
and employed, huh?
This is nice. That's me.
You should have one with face tattoos and employed, and I'll be a lot more impressed. All right, get a couple face tats and then go work a normal job. Let me see that.
Man, check out.
Prove me wrong.
I will. This ain't a normal job, baby. This ain't. Complexity booked the first playoff spot. Safe to say that no one expected that. They got wins over Fnatic G2 in big in the Legend stage to make that. Quite unexpected, right?
Yeah, with Complexity. So a little behind the scenes. I'm actually good friends with Rambo, their coach. I've known him for a long time, played on his team, played against him also. We've always kind of kept in contact over the years. And I remember when he first joined Complexity as the coach, we talked a little bit about like coach styles or whatnot, and how to kind of attack this approach the team. And one thing to know about him, And you could see it definitely in their gameplay and strategy, especially in this tournament. Rambo is a very methodical, analytical kind of person. His timings, if you're up 3-0, for example, on Nuke, when they're playing against Big, T-side, Complexity is up 3-0 on Nuke. They knew on the first gun round that the upper players would probably be a little low on utility from losing the previous 3 rounds. And so probably the utility that they won't have the most are Molotovs. And so they read that perfectly. They played textbook and then just rushed upper and just completely ran over Big on that first gun round. Big complete caught off guard. And I think that's one of the things you can look for when you watch Complexity and Rambo play their matches, is that expect textbook, methodical, working together, how you're supposed to play at the top, 5 team of the world. And so I'm really interested to see that coming from Complexity and how they can develop in this
their new play
tournament or in
style
future
is
tournaments.
very, very good. It's just, like you say, it's the way you should play CS, and it's the way, I don't know if it's the coach doing it or it's the IGL, it's just, they don't give away any kills that shouldn't be given away, they don't overpeak. They make sure they get every single trade that's possible to make the round easier for them. And Nuke was the prime example of, like, they made a few mistakes, but every round they done was literally perfection of the way they played it, the timings, everybody was close by, and there was no hero plays, which is good to see from a team like that. Is they all just want to win, so there's no one thinking, oh, I want to be seen as like the best player ever, I want to see this clip on Reddit. They're all playing properly and winning as a team, which is a big help at a stage like this.
Yeah, I think as you said, IGL, I think Stan is actually a big part of it too. I mean, in the past he's hopped on teams and then made them a top 3 team in NA just by hopping in them. This Optic team, Quid and all of them, and he's just, every team he joins, they do well. So whatever he brings to the game, it's working. It works with how people in the meta play. And I think with him and Shazam, it was the huge part of Complexity with this, with their experience, can take this team and beat these veteran teams like a Fnatic or a G2. Even though G2 is not playing that well, you got experienced players, and that can go a long way, especially with a young team when you have people like Ye and Android, who's Ye's relatively new, and he's just playing like he's been on the team for over a year. Like, everything he does is just he's been playing so smart, and I think he's bringing his style to the game. But their whole, I guess I wouldn't say coaching line, but the coach, their in-game leader, the veteran players, is just making Complexity look like a veteran team, as you say, not making mistakes. Sheekey.
Yeah, Ye is impressive as well. I didn't think he was as good as he was, just from an outside view. But like this tournament, he's played very, very well. And it's just the fact, like, what surprised me most is all American players usually come from pugs, which is the way it is over there. It seems like they do well in this, and then they look like a superstar, they get picked up. But these guys they've been here for a while, and it's like they're respecting everything like the coach and IGL is saying, and they're just using their skill and doing what they're told, which is something you don't see usually.
Yeah, not at all. I was watching a little bit of him, and he played the lurk role well when he needed to. He had a entry in the upper bomb site, not hesitating, looking at the most optical angle at that moment. And so you could tell that they went over, angles. Is like, if I'm first spawn, I should be looking up here, like towards heaven, and then the person behind me will look above me, and it looks so coordinated. And I think Ye is being able to adapt to 2 different roles. You said, not being a poke player, being control and lurky, as well as an entry killer. It just, everything's working well, and it's pretty impressive for a young player like him.
Agree with that.
Ever since he's joined, his stats have risen in such a high way. So he was on a team called X Synthetic, and his stats were up and down, and as soon as he joins Complexity for like the past year, he's on a majority of black streaks over red streaks. So whatever he's doing now, is the way he's been improving is the way people should be improving.
Also, there's I don't know him personally, but behind the scenes, I heard when he first joined, I heard a lot of people say that he's a very toxic player and they didn't like the pick by complexity. But so far, it doesn't seem like he's been too toxic at all. He looks like he's always excited. And you could tell he's kind of those players you hate to play against him, but love him on your team because he seems a little obnoxious when he wins rounds. He's
Yeah, I
always
think he's
screaming.
just a
I
very
like
vocal
it.
player.
I like it.
He's getting
Very vocal
hyped.
player.
Yeah.
He rubs
Love
people
that.
the wrong way. So I could tell. It seems like he may be a little less toxic since joining a high professional team, high caliber, like complexity. A big name like them. You probably say, "Hey, tone down a little bit." And so far, no controversies.
I'm with both of you guys on all those points. I think Ye has been an incredible standout player for complexity. And like you said, Bears, he's incredibly vocal. He's getting up, getting super amped after winning the matches. And, I feel like that's what that team needs right now. And to your point, Sheekey, as well, this is a squad that is full of charisma right now. They are basically making history. They are defying the odds and making it to the playoffs where no one thought it was possible. And they have all this momentum moving into the last leg of this event. And it is so exciting to watch. And I cannot wait to watch them play against MIBR tomorrow, actually. But we'll get into more of the technical, or the matchup, I'm sorry, in a second. I did want to bring up one more point, which is Astralis being stunned by Liquid, losing to them in overtime 19-15. That was a match where you really thought Liquid could actually win this time, because when they had last met, I think at the E-League Premier, they got beat pretty badly, and before, I don't think Liquid had the ability to challenge Astralis. And what's good was after Liquid had won in the second round of the Legend stage, Nitro went out on HLTV and welcomed the Astralis draw, saying something to the effect of, "We want to play this team. We know we can compete against them, and we know we can put on a good show." And they did. That's the best part.
So Team Liquid, I know that they're a good team. A lot of people know that they're a good team. And, I mean, beating Astralis is a huge thing. The problem with Liquid, I still see a negative in that, because here's the reason. Liquid is notoriously known for getting the match point and then blowing it. All right. And when you look at the first half of that match where they beat Astralis, they were up 13-2, T-side Inferno.
Yeah.
Against Astralis.
Mm-hmm.
And that's you're thinking 13-2, T-side Inferno against Astralis. You got to be just excited and just oh, how can we lose this? And guess what? They almost lose it. They allow Astralis to come back. They get 13 rounds on their T side, a Liquid edging them out in the OT, but they kind of comes back to the point. Liquid, they can get match point. They can get to the match point, but when that happens, something switches. I don't know if it's the in-game leading or the mindset or the strats they call. Something happens, and they play scared. They play not to lose instead of playing to win. And time again, they have these matches where they could have beaten Astralis 16-2 if they wanted to, maybe a 16-6, but no, they just let the other team snowball and come back. And I think that's something that Team Liquid needs to figure out, hopefully in this best of three part of the series, because again, a lot of these maps were best of one, so Liquid,
right.
Best of ones can be a little more random. Liquid does come prepared, but if a team gets used to your play style, maybe you come back in a map and beat Liquid in the best of three series. That puts Liquid in an awkward spot instead of moving on. And so you kind of have to take it from there. And I just think that's something that hopefully Liquid will be able to figure out this next match against who they're playing. They're playing good old Hellraisers. It's going to be interesting.
Mm-hmm. What scares me about Liquid is Liquid meeting Astralis in the semifinals potentially, granted they both win their games, is that Astralis is a team that is, you can never count them out. Even in that match, I think it was 9-0 before Astralis took their first round point. And at that point, that's all they needed. And then they took the round after that, and I think Liquid was able to string a couple rounds there. But Astralis is like they exhibit this professionalism where you never count them out. They are never even doubting themselves in those scenarios. Like, they stay calm, cool, and collected. And like you said, they're Liquid's up 13-2 T-side on Inferno, and this team is so calm and collected and able to at least give a valiant effort every time moving back into these games.
Yeah, I think with Glaive especially, it does help, like, having such a good IGL and someone like who I guarantee Glaive would have prepared both sides of the map, like T side and CT side. Obviously, CT side didn't go to plan, but if you've prepared a T side, you never just throw it out the window and say, you know what, it's over, like, we can't do it. Let's try just rushes just to try get some rounds. He's literally stuck to his game plan that he's made the night before or on the day, and they've just gone through and got the overtime, which is something a lot of teams won't do. Is they'll have like a very bad half and just the IGL will change everything he does. He won't do the pistol that he planned, or he won't do like the anti-ecos he planned. He'll just think we need to rush them in case X and X happens. We can't afford to die here. So he's literally stuck to his game plan, took them to an overtime. But obviously they've lost in overtime. But the best feeling is the comeback from a very, very bad half and then getting it to overtime. Like, I expected Astralis to win the overtime, which they didn't, but it's still good to show that, like you said, they don't give up and they're stuck to their game plan that they made for Liquid, which is a good thing to see.
You're absolutely right. And I remember Edward was quoted saying on last week's show, we brought this up. He said that if you never, something to the effect of, if you never stop believing or if you keep calm, then the comeback is always real. And it's so true. And I think that if any team exhibits that or shows that the most, it's Astralis. It's got to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also with Astralis is that, other than that 161 on Dust 2 from North a while back, every time they lose, it's very, very, by 1 or 2 rounds or overtime, almost every single match. And so it shows that their play style, the way they adjust, how they, their game plan that they prepare for, it's always, it shows that they're one of the best teams in the world where you can never run away with a win against Astralis. It's either really close or it's really close. There's no in between with those guys. Those guys are just, every match is 1 or 2 rounds. And so their play style, their timings, their teamwork, like one of the big things I noticed is like on Inferno is that their rotations are, they have a lot of these gamble rotations. So to play against Astralis, you really have to thin them out. You got to toss a lot of pump fakes here and there, like bait their nades, bait their rotation. Otherwise, it's just, you never know when you're going to run into a random 4-person bomb site stack because they're able to pull that off. They're able to, even on a gun round, stack 4 people B on Inferno if they think that, they take the moves to know that you're hitting there. There's a strong correlation that you're probably going to hit there by, clearing out certain areas of map like, alt metal or halls or something like that. And so it's very hard to play against Astralis and anti-strat them because they have so much in their playbook that it's just, you got to take it round by round and just claw your way to victory against them.
Clawing your way back with the Bears.
Claw.
New content series, guys. Look out for it. Oh, my gosh. All right, we're all getting hyped. So let's dive into the technical aspects and break down the playoff bracket. If we could bring that graphic up right now. Let's go through these one by one. And before we start anything, I want to give a quick shout out because we did get a new sub. Thank you, The Lust Jedi, for hitting us with that sub. Your name is peculiar to me, The Lust Jedi, but nonetheless, we appreciate it, pal. So here we have it, the bracket. Complexity MIBR. Let's go ahead and jump into that right now. What do you think, Embarrass?
I think it's unfortunate that 2 NA teams are playing right off the start against each other. But as from the graphic I saw, it might be our complexity. I think MIBR definitely has the edge. Just in terms of confidence, I think MIBR, they probably practiced against complexity at one point in the last month or two. And MIBR has always been a top dog in the NA scene. They've always been pretty much number one, maybe number two, depending on certain times of last couple of years. But pretty much that core's been number one, and so complexity probably has that that hurdle to overcome, that mental hurdle of being able to play their game, kind of have a no respect kind of mentality when they play against MIBR. Don't play too passive, and it's come out guns a-blazing like you did against Team Big. But I do think MIBR is going to edge over complexity if complexity does not play like they've been playing all tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Mibro will win 2-0 also. It's just on the sheer fact of I think Mibro will take the lead on each map for some strange reason, and complexity have never really been like put under pressure, realizing like what rounds matter. They're pretty much just walking over people, and I think Mibro won't allow it. And with the experience that they've got, obviously everybody being at a major, they've all won majors. And I think more than anything, I don't think complexity are like going to crumble. I think they're just gonna hit a roadblock of like, we're actually down like a map, or we're down these rounds. How do we come back? Because they're just having the easiest run so far. Not the easiest run, but like they're just walking over people. And I think as soon as like someone can actually stop them, it will. I hope they've got the answers and they can prove it wrong, but I reckon they will just hit like a roadblock and they won't know what to do, because so far everything they're doing is working, and I don't think Mibra will allow what they're doing to work.
Yeah, as you mentioned before, as you just mentioned, Cole, all their games that they won were best of one, so this is actually their first best of three at the major, and so it's going to be interesting to see how they adjust, or as you said, if they're down a map, can they come back? Do they have that mental game for the long series? Because as you said, I mean, the run wasn't the hardest. They did beat G2 and Big. I think Big is a huge one, but they also smashed Fnatic, and that's no easy task. And so, I mean, you could kind of question complexity. Kind of had an easy run. I mean, they did lose to Astrala 16-4, and that was an early in the tournament. Now we're like a week and a half in. They've gotten better, and we'll see how they can do in a best of three setting. I think it'll really show their true colors against a team like MIBR in a best of three.
I think you're right. I think you're right about that, Bears. And Sheekey's point, they did manage to avoid most of the favorites at this tournament. They did not play Navi, Liquid, Astralis. So, and they beat Big 2 times, and that was in my eyes a huge accomplishment for them. But we don't really have any sample data to draw from of seeing them in this form at this event playing against, one of the titans, so to speak, besides that very first round against Astralis where they lost 16-4. MIBR, on the other hand, they had wins against Mouse Sports, who was not in the greatest form at this event at all.
Yeah, I'm pretty surprised on how poorly Mouse Sports played.
They played like
0-3, kind of just Snacks seems not to be a good fit for them at all, or something's happening inside the team that we don't know of. They did not look like the same team they did a month ago, where they're considerably a strong top 3 team of the world.
Yeah. And they've been in that high ranking, but I say this time and time again, this Mouse Sports lineup is such a wild card. You never know. Like I always have so much faith in them coming to a match, and then they freaking blow it. I mean, it's tough to watch. So
there is a rumor that Oscar's getting replaced, but I don't know if it's true or not. Like I've done it with DK or someone who posted it, like an article saying Oscar might get replaced after the major or something like that.
I mean, if that's the case, then there's probably a big impact on their play style. And I'm kind of curious on why. Because Oscar, in terms of play style and playing, I mean, you could kind of say he's a little bit more of a baiter. But again, he's an opper, so, you kind of expect that. But yeah, last like 3-4 months, he's been one of their more consistent players in terms of putting up big numbers consistently.
Yeah.
And I think like the last week or two, it's been kind of like what's going on with Mouse Sports, and it really shows it even in his gameplay. If he's not doing well, it's really hard for them to win maps and have you need a strong opera on a team if you want to compete in the world, top 5 in the world.
Yeah.
After MIBR had beat NIP in the 5th round, Coldzera said to HLTV, "Complexity is a good team to study. It's hard to play against teams you don't know much about." And that sort of raised the question in my head of, does Complexity have an advantage here because a lot of teams don't know about them? They don't know their play style. And to sort of piggyback that, they haven't played many maps this event. They played Inferno. I had this written down somewhere, but they played 3 maps this entire event.
Inferno, Cash, and Nuke, I think it was.
That's it. Yeah. So is that an advantage for Complexity? Is that a real advantage for them?
For me, it's not. I reckon it's more advantageous for Big, because I'm not like the best IGL in the world by a long shot, but the way Complexity play, they're going to take that on every single map they play on. They're going to be strict. They're going to be together. There's not going to be much happening. Like, they're not going to cause some super duper fakes. They're not going to be doing anything extraordinary. And I think that's all Mibra will take into the games is, if you see one, you probably will see the rest of the team. And Mibra won't be making mistakes of like over peaking, so the bomb site's free. Mibra will make setups to punish like Complexity playing so standard, not standard, but so together and coordinated. That's what I think Complexity will struggle with, is they will be trying the stuff that's been working, and Mibra will make setups to counter everything Complexity do because of how methodical, like you said, and how slow they want to do things. Like, Fallen has been here for however long, and he will not let it happen because teams have tried it against him in the past, and he'll find a way to get the opening kill, then Complexity down a man, then Complexity have to completely change what they do when they get in that round because they might have needed that man because of their play style. So I think it is going to help them, but I think it'll favor Mibra more in the fact that they can add a complete like random element in their game of which Complexity won't be adding that element in. They'll just be playing the way they've always played so far.
Yeah, I think MIBR will have the edge, even though Complexity, you might not know their play style, but you could watch all their maps, and they do have a certain play style. As I mentioned before, a lot of it's like almost textbook kind of play. And when you're at a high level, you can't just play textbook. You can't play one side. You can't play textbook. You can't just play pug. You have to play that right style at that round. And so MIBR knows this, and they know that they're able to change the pace up very well. MIBR can play slow. They can play fast. They can play coordinated smoke flash attacks. They can go like a loose, just random peek or 2 people lurk up the mid kind of style of play. So MIBR has all the weapons, while Complexity has only shown us one kind of style to play with what we've seen so far. And so I think MIBR has more of the tools, and it'll be up to Complexity to make MIBR uncomfortable. I think Complexity has to come out early and hard and get like a 6 or 7 round lead in order to shake up MIBR to bring down their confidence, because MIBR has a huge confidence gain over Complexity, and that can go a long way in game of strats might not work if you're just wide peeking headshot and 2 people every round. You can't outstrat that. You have to kind of almost like slug them back in the face, and if Complexity can't do that, MIBR is going to run them over.
I'm with you on that. I think that the Complexity really has to shake up MIBR, and this is a best of 3 now, so it's almost like an entirely new ball game. And like you guys said earlier, we haven't seen Complexity play a best of 3 in this event, and MIBR is the better team on paper by a long shot, in my opinion. So it's going to be really interesting to see them play. I'm with you guys that MIBR is going to take this one, but I want to see Complexity win, and I don't think it's too far-fetched to say that they might have a chance here. But I think that
I'd love to
overall
see them
MIBR.
win, for sure.
Yeah, who wouldn't?
Like, it'd be good to see them win, but like I say, it's the whole experience aspect, and it just like it's complexity needs to, like you said, start this game and just do not give them respect. Yes, they're like the most achieving players in the world, but just do not give them any respect. Like
just trash them.
If you think Fallen's going to peak you, why don't you peak Fallen instead? Like be
Right.
that guy.
Yeah,
Like
I like that. I like that.
be that.
That's what you
Like
got to do.
go around. If you think Fair's going to backstab, like you backstab them instead, and like you be the annoying guy instead of Fair being the annoying guy. Like if they go into the game like, yeah, let's play methodical. Let's not give them any peaks before we do anything. We don't want to die. Like we want to take control at a certain time, not give a kill away. That's what Mibra will love. They'll just love that whole thing of you don't want to give us any kills, but we know what you're going to do because we've played against you like teams like this a million times, and they'll be ready for everything they do. If complexity don't just like, I just run in bomb sites with nothing and just see what happens because if they play like methodical and just very slow, that's when it's gonna, like you said, they're gonna run into like stacks of free people just randomly because Mibra have got the read. I think
it's gonna be an interesting one for sure. No doubt. So I'm excited. I think that's possibly the third game of the day, right? Yeah, I think that's gonna be the third game.
The second game.
It's
Is it?
Second game.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's gonna be second game of the day.
And that's at 12:45 my time. No more 4 a.m. I can't wait. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, London Major. I think the next talking point should be Big against Navi. This is their first meeting since Cologne, and actually Big's first tournament since Cologne. So Big obviously made it to the grand finals against Navi, where they lost. It was either 2-0 or 2-1. I don't remember the scoreline. But they're likely seeking some vengeance or retribution for that, I'd say, especially getting beaten on their home soil of Germany when they were so close to winning that event. Big is a team that you heard Gabi saying that they had practiced a lot leading up to this event, so they're well practiced. They have shown a lot of dexterity up until this tournament. They haven't shown really that like elite skill level that would make me think that they would go all the way in this event. And I think that Navi certainly has the advantage in this matchup. But what do you guys think?
Yeah, I think Navi has a huge one. Right now, the best duo in CS:GO is Electronic and Simple. They've been on fire. If Simple's not carrying, Electronic's carrying. Electronic's not carrying, Simple's carrying. They're both not carrying, and they straight up lose. But you know what? We haven't seen that in the last month or so. So unless that happens, I think it's going to be a similar thing as ESO Cologne, where Navi beat them 3-1. Navi's going to just stomp all over them if Smulio won't be able to, if he can't out Simple here. I think it's going to come down to, Tizian and Nex, being good support players for everybody, with Gabi, obviously. But, get Smulio in those spots, get him the first kill, because Big does so much better when Smulio gets that first kill.
Right.
Get an op kill, reposition yourself, make Navi play that slow play style, but run them into your op, make them waste utility early, run them into your AWP. And I just think, it's really hard right now to stop Electronic and Simple, because Simple can go rifle or AWP, and both of them are equally as deadly. He's considered one of the best players in the world right now, probably top 2 for sure. And, a lot of people consider him for number 1. And so if you're Big, you're going to have a lot of stepping up from your support players and outplaying an Edward and a Zeus from Navi.
Yeah, I think it's literally a battle of Smooyer and Tabson against Simple and Electronic. Like the full game should be based around that, which is Simple will run riot if Smooyer doesn't stop him, and same thing with Electronic. If Tabson doesn't be that like support player, like not support player, but like the second carrier as long as Smooyer are, I think if Tabson has a bad game, that is when they will lose. Like he is such the turning point for that team. It's crazy. Individually, he is one of the best players in the world by far. But he just
He's
needs to have them
inconsistent.
games where people like give him kills, sort of say, like, because they bigger kind of like a complexity. They rely on a lot of takes and a lot of methodical teamwork. Godby will not allow them to do anything without certain flashbangs, certain grenades. Like Smooya, for example, like if I speak to Smooya and he comes on to chat to the UK guys while he's at the major, he's just like, Godby's just found this unreal flashbang, like, oh, this and that. Like Godby is finding grenades to just get people in positions to kill these people. And I think this is what you'll see a lot is if you don't see Smooya against Simple like an AWP battle, it'll be like Simple getting swarmed by like 3 big players to stop him doing anything in the round, which might be Godby's plan is to either completely avoid him or just find him, sacrifice one guy to kill him, and then make it a 4v4, which like Big are very good at winning. Like if Smooya kills Simple, like Smooya's opening kill like win percentage is like 75%. So if he gets that opening kill, Big have a 75% chance of winning a round usually. So that's what I think they'll be focusing on is trying to get rid of Simple sometimes and seeing how they can win from there. But it's going to be hard, obviously. It's Simple.
Yeah, good luck with Simple.
Not as
He's
simple
a
as
field
you
player.
think.
He's a field
Yeah.
player. I mean, Navi in the past have those kind of slow strats, bait in A's, wait them out, lurk here, play the rotation kind of style. And Simple, he plays a lot of CS, so he knows the angles, he knows the timings, he knows how people play from playing them all the time. And so he works those timings, and then his team kind of supports him in a way or kind of, hits the opposite of his timing to kind of counteract everything. And and I think that's really hard to play against sometimes. And Big is going to try to anti-strat them. As you said, they're very textbook. They're trying to outplay the opponents, repositioning. And Navi's those kind of teams, well, okay, go ahead and do that, but we're just going to out-aim you. See how you can stop that. And so we can see if Navi's firing on their aim game, it's going to be very hard for Big to beat them.
I agree with that.
I think Navi will win 2-1. Like depending on how the maps like start and end, it should be a 2-1 either way. Like Big 2-1 or Navi 2-1. It's just depending on, like I say, it's Smooya can be such an impactful player, but it's doing it properly at this stage in Counter-Strike. It's like he could do it against like low level team and just get away with like getting 2 kills here and there and getting away. But if he kills Simple, I guarantee there's a guy there to kill Smooya if it's not like a straight up all battle. If they try like a move where he's just trying to get the up like a kill and they're trying to swamp him, it will get refragged. But like I say, it's just I reckon it'll be a battle of like the 2 players against the other 2 players and who can carry the most, I think.
In my mind, if Navi shows up, the whole team, because you saw glimpses of it prior to the playoffs where it felt like there was so much emphasis on Simple, like just so much where the rest of the team wasn't quite performing to that level. So if the entire Navi roster shows up and is playing on that same level, then I don't see Big winning this. I'm with you that it could be a close game, possibly 2-1. I know Big is certainly confident. Tabson was even quoted saying, "I feel like we can 100% win this tournament." Now, that's a pretty bold statement, and they have a really tough challenger in the first round of the quarterfinals.
Yeah, you have to have that kind of illusion. Like if you want to compete at this level, you have to believe you're going to win. I mean, obviously from an outsider and looking in, I don't think Big is going to win, but you have to have that confidence. And against for Navi, he said if they're all firing on all cylinders, I think that comes down to Edward and Flamey. Flamey, when he first got picked up by Navi, his rifling was insane. He was like almost carrying teams a lot of matches. Last 6 months to years, been kind of quiet. And so, I mean, he's been having some good matches here and there, but not on a consistent level as you'd like him to be. And so if he is doing well, I think it's going to be very, very difficult to stop Navi. Edward, he plays kind of those bitch roles where he's lurking, he's finding information, he's trying to bait rotation and all that, tossing fakes. And so a lot of people We'll look at the stat line and say he sucks. And then there's people that will watch him play. And yeah, he does miss a lot of shots, probably puts himself in those kind of bad situations. If he's able to do his plays and not, at least get one kill before dying, that's all we need from him. Just one kill. You don't have to get multi-kills. You don't have to carry the team. Just get one kill, and then you're dead. That's all you need. Watch the flank or something, and I think Navi can take that.
That's fair. I'm with that. Edward, yeah, he does have those really, really bad score lines. I think on Astralis he went like 3-21, or I don't remember what the final was, but it definitely wasn't anything to write home about. But let's go ahead and move into the Liquid Hellraiser series. I think this is probably the more lopsided or one-sided match in the quarterfinals. Liquid looking obviously exceptionally strong moving in to the playoffs. They're favorited by bookies to win this event now, even over Astralis. What is Liquid doing so well right now, in your opinion? I want to hear from you, Sheekey, first.
It's the way they play and the confidence the players have. They're not doing super duper strats. They're not doing like anything that makes your head turn and feel like, whoa, that was unreal. They're just playing a way of CS which relies on their players killing everybody they see, which you can do with people like Elige and Twist. Like if someone runs into Twist crosshair, they are dead because he is so fast, it's pointless. Like he will kill anybody he sees. Same thing with Elige. Elige has this weird thing about him where he could get rushed by 5 people at 7 different angles, and because he plays on 900 sensitivity, he can just kill everybody somehow. Like they can be behind him, but he'll react faster than you. Like it's so strange, and it's just they are playing a very good style. I think it was the addition of Taco has been the best thing they've ever done. Is he must have easily told him, and with Zeus as well, is just telling them like, if you like the way to play against, if you are this good at a game, you can play in a certain way, because it's how like Cold Zero used to play. He used to play a certain way where he is this good, he would not care. And but they're doing it together, which helps them out. Is they're playing like pretty recklessly and like they don't really care, but they're always there. Like Nitro will always be somewhere with his AWP to refrag or to get to. He's always in the right position as an AWP, even though he's like he's not really an AWP, he's just becoming one. He is always in a position to get like the refrag or the 2 kills. So they're winning a lot of rounds based on like Twist getting 2, Elige getting 2, then Nitro refrags, and then they're in a retake of 3v2 and they're winning every time. They're winning a lot like that. It's just having them players that like at your side is something a lot of teams don't have.
Yeah, and you guys, I mean, they say that Liquid's probably the favorite, but I actually think Hellraisers are the favorite in this matchup. Just the fact that Liquid, they're kind of the organization, do research to try to counter-strat you, try to play that game. And Hellraiser seems like more of a puggy team, and especially with Issa playing so well this tournament, he's been playing out of his mind this tournament. I think the biggest problem for Liquid is dealing with Woxic's up. I think Liquid, even though Nitro has his games where he can up, I feel like I don't consider him as a top, really, really carry upper. He hold angles and gets his kills, but Woxic is just a game changer upper. He's a playmaker, and I think Liquid's going to have a hard time dealing with Woxic and Hellraiser's play style, where they won't be able to anti-strat them too much, while Hellraiser will probably play more on the feel and kind of just play more on the momentum side of the game. So I actually think that Hellraisers might upset Liquid in this matchup. Even though it'd be close games, I still think Liquid's going to have a hard time against Woxic.
Yeah, the map pool will be very puggy. I assume it'll be Mirage, Cash, Inferno, which is like some of Liquid's best maps, some of Hellraiser's best maps. But it's the way Hellraisers can play. It's like I said the other day, if Hellraisers would win depending on Woxic, and if Woxic's playing good, they're going to win. If Issa's playing good, they stand a very high chance of winning, simply because they're like game-changing players, which Twist and Elige are like for Liquid. So they kind of have a battle, like the same thing with Big and Navi. They have these 2 players who can completely change the outcome of a game for you depending on how they play on that day. So it depends on, like, can Woxic, can Issa just be complete game changers, just be the most random players they can think about being, and just like put like Liquid on this back foot of, we don't know where they're going to be, we don't know what they're going to do, and that's where they could surprise them. But it's going to be very hard for Hellraisers to surprise them. Very, very hard.
I think Hellraisers is like this fiery team, and yeah, they have the ability to shift the entire momentum in a game thanks to Woxic's AWP. And Bears, you're absolutely right. Woxic is a game-changing AWP. He opens up the most insane spaces and wins the rounds for the team in most cases. Like, he's a very
And he plays
special type of
left-handed.
player.
He's left-handed too,
Is
and
he?
that adds a little extra spice to his game. Yeah, he mouses with his left hand, and that
And he plays
that
eight
brings a whole new
sensitivity.
element. You can't play against that. You have to play a different way. Those southpaws just peak a lot different. It's just weird.
That's mental. It's almost like pitching against a switch hitter.
There you go.
No idea what none of that means.
They don't have baseball in the UK, I guess. I don't know.
Nah, we have real sports.
Cricket.
Cricket.
Football, not soccer.
Yeah, it'll be a good game. I personally think that Liquid is going to win this one. I don't think Hellraisers. I think Hellraisers might be able to take a map off Liquid, in all honesty, to credit the points that Bears was making. And to echo what Sheekey had said earlier, is Liquid is a team right now that is dripping with confidence. These guys have confidence at the ass, and they're playing like it. And I think that that's one of their strongest points right now, is that they're sure in every play they make. They feel confident as a team, as a unit. This is the best they've performed at events since acquiring Taco. And I think they're going to parlay this at least into the semifinal round. And that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I
they
think they
have all the
really want to
confidence in
win.
the world, except
Say
when they
again?
hit that
But I
match
think Liquid
point.
need a win.
Yeah.
They need a win. Like, they need a big tournament win. Like, a major is a perfect example, just to prove, like, we're not just good for so long and they can do it. But I reckon Liquid will win the tournament, but it's a very long shot of how Astralis or FaZe goes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, let's talk about Astralis FaZe. This is probably in my opinion, the closest matchup in the first round of playoffs. Both very strong teams, top teams, in fact. FaZe was, a few months ago, one of the only teams that was regarded as a squad that could challenge Astralis after beating them at, I don't remember the event at the top of my head, but they had beaten Astralis. And, everyone regarded FaZe as this is the team that might be able to beat Astralis. But they weren't able to do so since. And now they have this opportunity again to do that again. Do you guys think that that FaZe could potentially upset Astralis here?
It's it can happen, but they cannot be doing what they've been doing. Like, when I was on the show last week, I said, when I saw FaZe lose, it was just like they're giving up on that team and something's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they win, Nico does the interview, or someone done the interview and said, yeah, Nico's the IGL for this tournament. And it's just simply because it's like they are just not enjoying the way they are playing with Karrigan. So I guess when Croman got replaced back by Olafmeister, and then Karrigan must have made this whole new play style or some way that they don't like playing anymore, which they used to play like, I'm guessing, because if they played like they used to play, they wouldn't mind it, I don't think. And I think it's something to do with Olaf coming back in. Karrigan might have added a few things, like we've got to be a bit more cautious because we're still getting back into it or something like that. And people like Nico won't like it simply because he's the best player in the world, to put it that way. So I reckon this game is all on, like, Nico will feel an unreal amount of pressure calling against Astralis. Calling against someone like Glaive is going to be the biggest task anybody will ever do in Counter-Strike as an IGL. It's like calling against Glaive or Fallen is one of the biggest tasks you will probably ever do, like trying to outbrain them. And I just simply do not think Nico will be able to outbrain someone like Glaive, like at this stage in the team when they're feeling like they were and you can tell they're not happy. I just don't think they have. If they win, fair play, like somehow they've won, but I just do not. It shouldn't be possible for them to beat them the way they're playing at the moment and with the stuff that's going on because they're very emotional players.
I think it's going to be a disaster for FaZe. I mean, changing your IGL in the middle of a huge tournament like this is a very, I mean, that just ruins your confidence in general for Kerrigan. And Kerrigan already has, enough problems as is trying to out frag his opponents, and now he's not even IGL. That's a big for Kerrigan, especially after this tournament.
Right.
And with Nico calling, I think that can't do well, especially against a team like Astralis. Like, Astralis going to look at the map pool. You guys do really well on Mirage. That's a pretty puggy map, Nico. You like calling on that? Well, guess what? We're banning that first map. When Nico's going to have to call on a map like Overpass or Train, FaZe is going to be in big trouble, especially when Astralis is going to be, it's another day. Let's go right in the game plan. Let's do this strat. And Nico is going to just be sweating. His brain's going to swell up like, oh, God, I got to think 8 rounds now. We got to make up strats on the go. Do we have set strats? I mean, we don't look like it. We're a pug team. So I don't know. It looks pretty bleak for FaZe, if you have to play them on a map other than Mirage, which without a doubt, Astralis is going to ban. Either that or
100%.
Cash. But I think Astralis would rather play Cash than play FaZe on Mirage, because FaZe has been doing pretty well on Mirage, and why not just get rid of their best map? A new strat caller, go ahead, play on a map that you're not comfortable calling with, and I don't think that can be good for FaZe. I mean, Kerrigan's going to have to step it up tenfold, and if FaZe wants to win, they have to literally have 3 people on fire, hitting 1 taps, doing 360s, calling the right strat almost every other round, and they almost have to play perfect CS to even have a considerable chance against Astralis, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's the biggest. I just cannot believe the changing like IGL at a tournament, at a major especially. Like, do it at a tournament like I don't know, like that's something you do at like a DreamHack, and you just be like, yeah, you can IGL. Like, we're only winning 50k. Like, you're winning 500k for first place or whatever it is, or 250 or whatever.
Right.
Like, it's a risky move, and I guess they think it'll work, but like I said, the pressure of calling it will just not work. Like, if it works, it's worked because Nico's one bulleted everybody. Guardian hasn't been out opt once. Carrigan somehow gets more than 20 kills a game, and like they've won each map somewhere like that. But I think, like I say, Astralis will get rid of maps that they could, like Nico can call on, and will have a hard time calling on certain maps. I reckon it'll be something like Overpass, Cash, or Train, and like Cash, yes, it's a kind of a puggy map. Nico can call on it, but it's still a map that Astralis will play with such teamwork and such coordination that Nico won't know what to do against it. And when you saw Carrigan, like on the video, like the cutscenes and on the games like the last week, he wasn't saying anything in the pause times. He was literally saying nothing. So you've got like who was already an emotional player, like as an IGL. You've got someone who you've took his IGL status away. You've pretty much demoted him during an event. And like now he's going to have so many emotions in his head, like, oh, I need to prove I can kill people. I need to prove this. I need to prove that. So like he is now doing this is added pressure on Nico, pressure on Carrigan, and then pressure on the full team of like, if Carrigan won't think for all of us, then we've got to actually think. So this is probably the worst thing they could ever do, but if it works, it works.
Yeah, geez, was sort of thinking that FaZe had not a horrible chance at winning this, but certainly after hearing Bear's theory on why they can't win, it's starting to change my outlook a little bit. But no, I agree. I mean, the switching of the IGL role was obviously notable. But after Nico had fulfilled that role, they beat Mouse, Tyloo, and G2, which are good squads, but it's not like they had really. It doesn't seem to me like they have proven anything yet with Nico being in that role. But they said that obviously everything was going wrong prior to that point. Nico had said, and they had made this change to put something fresh in the team and build a little bit of confidence. And I think that phase, they might have a chance. But ultimately, I'm with Astralis. 100%.
As you said, with those matches that they won, I mean they won against Mouse Sports that apparently is going to change their roster after the major, having a lot of problems, played terrible this major. They beat Tai Lu. Tai Lu had a good run, but Tai Lu has shown in the past they do really, really considerably bad when it's pressures on the line. Every best of 3 for a championship or to qualify, Tyler just does not show up time again. And then they beat G2. G2 is also a weird team right now. I wasn't too impressed with them, to be honest. And out of all those maps that Nico was calling, 3 out of the 4 maps were Mirage. So if you're Astralis, you're like, oh, you like Mirage again? Click ban. Good luck, Nico.
Yeah.
And it's just so I just can't see it. Logically, I cannot see FaZe even coming close. This is logically speaking, but you never know. It's CS:GO, right? Anything else?
Yeah, this is true. Very, very true. All right, well, these are all great points. Before I relieve you guys, let you go, let's bring up the quarterfinal matches right now. We'll just do our quick picks of who you guys think. We have the explanation. We already went through those, but I just want to hear it from you guys. For me, Complexity, MIBR. I'm going to go MIBR, but I really, really, really want to see Complexity win.
Yeah, I take MIBR as well. Yep.
Cool.
I would like Complexity to win, but I think MIBR 2-1. I just hope Complexity can at least take a map, make it interesting. My instinct's saying 2-0 MIBR, but I want to give Complexity benefit of the doubt. Good games. 2-1 MIBR.
I think it'll be a fun one to watch, or at least I hope it will.
Yeah, it should be a good one. It should be a good game.
As for Big Navi, I'm going to say 2-1 Navi here. Navi just having a lot more firepower experience. Possibly room for Big to survive against Navi. And I'm saying that word specifically, survive, because they're going to need to. But it's going to take them firing on all pistons.
Yeah, I take it's Navi 2-1 or Big 2-1, but I will choose Navi for that one.
I'm going to go a little more extreme. I say Navi 2-0. I don't think Big will bring all the firepower against Navi. I think Navi has too much of a psychological game over them.
Mm-hmm. As for Liquid Hellraisers, I'm with Liquid. The team is looking good. They're confident. I think they're just going to carry this momentum, right into the semifinals to face either Astralis or FaZe. Hellraisers is definitely, like we said, a spicy team. They're peppery. They got some good skill in the pockets, but Liquid overall for me.
Yeah, Liquid 2-0, without a doubt.
This is going to be my upset, boys. I'm going to go with Hellraisers 2-1 over Liquid. Even though on my pick'ems, I think I put Team Liquid to win. I think I'm going to go change that. I just feel like Hellraisers might do an upset here. It's going to be Hellraisers' game.
Bears loves those Hellraisers upsets. It's the second reload upset.
You guys not even supporting Complexity.
I'm being real here. I want them to win, but I don't think Liquid will have an answer for Loxic.
If we're talking upsets and there is one here, it's Complexity for me. So let that be known. But I think MIBR will win that. Astralis FaZe, Astralis. And I have nothing else to say.
Yeah. What's going on with FaZe? I just can't believe it. And you just got to go with Astralis. It's like a horse having 4 legs and another horse having 2. You pick the one with 4, it's going to win. They've won no matter what.
Yeah, I think Astralis is going to beat all over FaZe. I think it's going to be 2-0 Astralis. Again, the only reason the way I see phasing win the map if they have 3-4 people just on fire, hitting every single shot, and Astras is just playing bad. It's the only way I think that FaZe can even have a chance to win.
Doesn't really happen too often, it seems like, either. So FaZe probably in some good trouble.
Yeah.
But all right, Sheekey, Bears, thank you guys so much for coming
much.
on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate
Thanks for having
you
me.
guys. And
Appreciate it.
thank you.
All right, good luck with everything, guys. I'll talk to you soon. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of The Reload, episode 6. That's right, we're 6 deep, and we're hitting them live from now on as best we can. Huge shout-out to UGC for producing everything you're seeing here. Go ahead and follow them on Twitter at UGC Events. If you want to stay in touch with The Reload, what we're doing, we're constantly following Counter-Strike, trying to create content around it and give you the best tips and insights from pros like Sheekey and DeBears. So give us a follow at The Reload FM. And we're doing this weekly, so, feel free to follow our channels and tune in. We got a couple new subs, and I'm super happy to have you guys on board. Thank you for tuning in. My name's Cody Luongo, and I will see you next week. Thanks, guys.